Wait for it. Welcome to the video. Okay everyone, I'm going to give you Foo Fighters Sonic Highways episode 5 review, Los Angeles, and what that was a little snippet of the song Outside, and that was Joe Walsh performing the little solo and guest appearance on the song. So let's just set this up right quick. The history of the music of Los Angeles that gets overlooked. Dave Grohl visits legendary KROQ DJ Rodney Bingenheimer, owner of 1970s Sunset Strip Club that became the hub for the glam rock scene. While Pat Smear remembers the days of the Germs, Foo Fighters head to the desert to record their new song Outside, which features a solo from Joe Walsh at Rancho De La Luna. In turn, the 1990s Palm Desert scene is explored. So that was pretty cool, the Palm Desert scene. So my personal story about LA is just ho-hum. Kim went there for a trade show with her job a few years ago, and so we stayed in a hotel in Anaheim and went to Hollywood, drove around. The Academy Awards were there that week, so that was pretty cool. And we sort of, we walked on the Walk of Fame, saw some of the stars, and we went to a little restaurant called Schooner or Later, which was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Anyway, back to the Foo Fighters. There was a couple of different things I want to talk about in this episode. I believe 3, possibly 4, but don't hold me to that. Number 1 is this was Pat Smear's stomping grounds, and he, like they said, revisits his days with the Germs. But that was interesting. I believe they talked about the Runaways, and Lita Ford and Joan Jett were mentioned. I believe Joan Jett actually gave an interview in this episode, which was cool. And Dave made a little joke. I believe the Runaways were in their teens, like 16 and 17, and on the album it said, Lita 16, Joan 17, and Dave was walking down the street with Pat, and it was funny. He goes, Dave 46. So it was just very minor, minuscule. Look for it, because that's funny. So anyway, they're going, they're walking around town, checking out Pat's old, whatever, I guess his old apartment and places he would jam and whatever studio. A couple of other stories that were going on in this one were, first of all, like they said here, the Palm Desert scene. It was really cool because what they said, that they would go out in the middle of the desert, these bands that wanted to jam, and they would give out flyers, and hundreds of people would converge on this one spot, and all the people would park their vehicles with their headlights on, and they would bring generators. So that they were called generator parties, or generator jams, or something like that. So they'd bring a generator, or 2, or whatever. They said that they would, they tune their instruments way down, and they would just play this chunky, raunchy music just so they could fill the vast space of the open desert. They would play it as loud and as weird, as just as loud and wild as they possibly could. And it was very, it was also pretty trippy, because they were all out doing drugs in the desert. So there was like really, kind of like rock, not like a jam band like Fish or something like that. But I mean, on that same vein, they would make a lot of creative sounds and incorporated that into the music. So they developed a style called, the Palm Desert scene. And that was very interesting, pretty cool. And Rancho De La Luna is where they recorded it, and it's where they recorded the song Outside. I'm moving on to another point here. Let me just say this, that Queens of the Stone Age and Caius, I thought it was Kairos actually, but yeah, there was a lot of bands that recorded at Rancho De La Luna, and Dave really likes Caius, and that band is, the dude from Queens of the Stone Age was in that band. But the guy's name is escaping me here. I believe it was probably Fred. Anyway, there was this one dude who was involved with the Rancho De La Luna. He was just this tough guy. He wore a cowboy hat and he rode a horse, and he was the engineer. I guess he did a lot of the recording there, but he was just weathered, was HIV positive, and apparently died of lung cancer in 2002. But he was just this really tough character that everyone looked up to and respected, and he ran Rancho De La Luna. And then, the hanging out with Joe Walsh, who's a character and a really cool 70s guitarist, I guess 80s, 70s and 80s, but he had that classic rock vibe to him that the guys were just blown away with. I mean, he really did lay down a cool solo, and I don't know if what we opened this video with was indicative of Joe Walsh's, you know, vast talent, but it was cool. This one was just very interesting also. I mean, I'm really having a good time watching Sonic Highways. Like I said, it started out high, went low for me at DC, and then went back up. And here we are, you know, through Chicago, DC, Nashville, Austin, and now in LA. I've just got to say that I've definitely loved this show. I probably will go back and watch the Washington, DC episode again. And see, you know, just figure out exactly what about it was that I didn't like. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. I don't know. But Sonic Highways, Los Angeles episode, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It was very interesting. I appreciate you watching, and we've got a couple more to go. We have New Orleans up next, and I did watch Seattle just recently, and then we will look forward to the remaining episode of New York coming soon. So thanks for watching. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the Blabby Daddy channel, please, and share it with your friends. Leave comments also. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.